Hello, I'm Jamie Smith, President and Publisher of the Cincinnati Business Courier, and I'm excited to be here today for another episode of Executive Insights. Today I'm here with Nick Enger, and Nick is the CTO of Advanced Technology Consulting, also known as ATC. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate you coming
You know,
out.
the last 3 years, at least for my company, has been a nervous time as far as technology. You know, we worked from home for probably 2.25 years. We're now kind of hybrid. So there's always that concern about, can my employees get what they need to technology-wise? Are they going to be able to be connected all the time? So I know that has to be top of mind for a lot of business leaders these days. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, with that volume of work coming to IT and accelerated demand for, you know, that quick and on access, what advice do you have for IT leaders who maybe, you know, sometimes don't have the resources but need to make sure the technology is there for their employees?
Oh, there's so much though. I mean, everything's changing so fast nowadays. It's hard for that general IT leader out there to keep up. The vendors are changing, the technologies are changing. You just mentioned it, right? The hybrid workforce is forcing us to do things we weren't doing 5 years ago. Nowadays, we're analyzing all the different technologies for these leaders to make sure that they're productive in their workspaces for these end users that are working at home, that they're also secure working from home. And that's a big component of it nowadays. We're talking a lot more about cybersecurity as it relates to that home worker, whether it's talking about phishing attempts or training on their email. We're talking about taking it to that end user working from home in all different facets.
How are you advising IT leaders who find themselves moving closer to their internal customers and their external customers, getting more and more data? How are you advising them?
Well, I would say the client experience is king. The customer experience is king. And that customer experience could be internally or externally. We have internal stakeholders that we have to make sure that they have the right tools in place to do their job. And externally, our clients, our end clients, have to have an experience that's transformative. I use the analogy for Amazon. Amazon changed the way the consumer buys. We are all used to that easy to use experience. We have to be streamlined and simple, fast, easy. Me personally, I don't like talking to people when I don't have to talk to people. I want to just be able to self-serve myself. In that same vein, if I want to talk to somebody, I want to be able to talk to them, and I want to talk to them right now. That's the customer experience that we're striving for nowadays. I'll give you an example. Just the other day, I had an issue with my garbage disposal. And my garbage disposal wasn't working, and I'm down there fiddling around with it, and I'm on the Home Depot or whatever website, and I'm looking at something, and I want to chat with somebody. I want to chat about this garbage disposal because I have an issue. And then it got too technical. I was kind of fumbling through the chat, and I said, just call me. And instantly I got a phone call. Wow. And let's take it to the next level now. Hey, I have this particular part, and I'm trying to describe this part to this individual on the phone. We flipped right into a video call, and I'm showing the individual, the agent on the other side, what that part is. And instantly, they were able to get me on the website to the part I needed, ordered, and I picked it up the same day. Now, that's a customer experience that we're all striving for.
Absolutely.
We're dealing with organizations that when we walk in, we talk about a contact center, a phone system. More often than not, they say, we don't have a call center. Most organizations have a call center. We're talking about how we're engaging with our clients and creating that experience, not necessarily a call center, but communicating with the client the way they want to be communicated with.
You don't ever want that customer to be lost.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know what to do next.
I'll give you another example. So I travel a fair amount. We do consulting gigs across the country. I book on my Delta app. I don't like checking in because I don't want to deal with people again. I go straight in, I do my clear, I'm on my way to the future location. I get there, I get my Hertz rental car. I have an app for Hertz. I unlock the door. I don't have to talk with anybody. I drive off to my client engagement. I get back to the hotel, and I don't want to go to that front desk either.
Yeah.
I go straight to my room. I've already checked in on the Marriott app. I unlock my door, and I come in, and on the screen is welcome, Nick Enger. Thank you for staying with us. And the temperature's just right. The shades are just how I like it. That's the customer experience that we're trying to drive for.
Well, you know, how important do you think connectivity is as far as, I know in our business, we have 2 or 3 different software systems that we're working in, whether it's billing, whether it's our content service, and often you need them to talk to each other, and they don't seem to always want to talk to each other. Do you guys deal with that a lot?
All the time. All the time. All the technologies nowadays seem to be integrated or need to be integrated in some sort of fashion. So in that same conversation, when we're talking about that client experience, behind the scenes, oftentimes it's integrations between a bunch of different tooling to making sure that that client experience, whether it was an inventory piece or it was a past purchase experience, all of those are kind of tied together.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. How important is it to do your due diligence before you buy all this technology?
Absolutely.
As
It
opposed
talks
to
about the
trying
client
to
life
fix it
cycle all
afterwards?
the way through. I mean, we want to understand what you've purchased in the past to help delineate what that future driver might be.
Yeah. Well, let's turn the tides a little bit and talk about cybersecurity. Obviously, now more than ever, everybody knows the word cybersecurity, and if you aren't, very involved in it, you better be, or the insurance companies are going to make sure you are. Talk about what's out there and all the various options available to leaders.
Yeah, so we focus in on the 500 users to 5,000 user organization. And within that market space, we call it the mid to large size businesses. In that marketscape, we see that in the past 3 years, cybersecurity insurance was driving a lot of the policies. So cybersecurity insurance was creating the desire or the needs for cybersecurity products. So it started off as multi-factor authentication. Now we're seeing managed detection and response. We're seeing now going forward, there's going to be a greater stress on compliance or governance around compliance. So in cybersecurity, whether it's any type of project that comes through our organization, cybersecurity is a component of it. And it's another area that's changing so fast. There's so many different vendors out there, all kind of saying the same thing. And it's hard to delineate between those vendors and the technologies in the marketing fluff, I will call it, where it's like, maybe that's an aspirational message, not necessarily what they're providing. So it's very difficult for that IT leader to delineate between all of those different technologies. And I would stress to lean on people that have done it before. Lean on experts in this area because it's too complicated, it's too hard to keep up with, and it's changing every day. So I would just stress, lean on somebody with expertise. I would also get an inventory of your current environment, understand your tooling and investments in infrastructure, and start with a cybersecurity assessment. Those assessments come at a fairly nominal charge, but it'll show all the gaps where you need coverage going forward, and they may even provide some guidance on that tooling that can kind of fill those gaps.
You know, I talked to a leader not long ago, and he said, I don't really have to worry about that. I don't really have that important data out there that I'm worried about people stealing. And I made the comment, I'm like, but people register with you for a lot of stuff, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, so you have a lot of their data? He's like, yeah. I said, there is liability of having other people's data, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is, case in point, we're seeing it across the board where people say, they're not after me, I don't have anything of importance. That's not actual. And I'm seeing it more now in supply chain. So you're providing something to an end customer that's providing it to someone else. What if the supply chain gets disrupted because of an event at your location? So take, for example, somebody was providing parts for GE engines, and downstream that ball bearing incident that might have caused that engine to not be produced anymore.
Yeah.
There's significant impacts across the industry that we just need to keep up with. As a general rule, we need to keep up with.
That's awesome. My last question for you is data, data, data. I mean, obviously companies are recording data, keeping it for many different purposes.
Yeah.
And it used to just be, maybe they were worried with you guys about protecting that data. But now people are wanting to do more and more with that data so they know their customer set a lot better. What are you seeing in that data world right now?
Yeah, I mean, big data is the next frontier in all of our businesses. We experience it internally. You mentioned earlier all different tooling and all the different integrations that are kind of coming together. Well, all of that data that are in the different applications or in the different tooling is become so robust and so exponential that the organization doesn't know what to do with all of it. And what we call uncategorized or unstructured data, we need to take that data, combine it, make it structured so we have a single source of truth within our organization, and then derive business outcomes out of that data. So that's a huge frontier right now, and a big focus of us internally as well as many organizations is making sure that you understand that data, making sure that you can take that data and drive business outcomes from it. I'll give you an idea of like some of the unique projects that we're working on or hearing about within data. Think of like a home builder. Think of a home builder that's doing mass production homes, hundreds a year, and to be able to take what clients have done in the past. So say, for example, you know how you've built a home before, so you have multiple options on the types of cabinets and the types of flooring, and you could take that client data and say, hey, if you, out of the hundreds of past buyers, every time someone selected these cabinets, they have a 96% chance of buying this type of flooring. And if we have that data, think how impactful that is, not only from the buyer experience, but from the organizational experience where they can then inventory based upon certain selections. So it's driving those business outcomes. It's becoming more analytical than it ever was before. And to your point earlier, the siloed applications are kind of yesteryear. We need to be all inclusive into our application.
I like to tell people when it comes to data, we do a lot of data collection. Obviously, people take our news. They subscribe to our morning and afternoon editions. So we did a test where when you get your morning edition every morning, I send it out at 7 a.m. Well, if you don't open it till 9 o'clock every day on average, we started sending it to you at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Well, what we found out is people hated that. Even though they didn't open it to 9, they knew to go to the 7 o'clock time frame to find that email. So it's like with that data, we were able to, do what we thought the customers would like. But we found out that's not what they liked, so we were able to switch back. So I think more and more data collection.
Take it deeper though, right? Like so, Nick gets his at 7 a.m. and then I'm more likely to click on a cybersecurity or a data breach or something type of an article. Versus maybe a home construction or something that, why wouldn't you, because Nick is more in the IT space, to elevate those in the newsletter, if you will, so it's top of mind. So I'm more likely to click through. If that cybersecurity post was further down, I'm less likely to see it and less likely to click through it.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being with me today. I feel like there's so much information that our listeners and viewers can use. I have to say that when I did a little research before I came out, and I have to say I love the tagline at ATC. We help transform your technology so technology can transform your business. I mean, that kind of says it all right there, right?
I appreciate you doing your research. I like that you came up with that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing our viewers on the next Executive Insights.